the name of the webinar is about swooping away your competitors' deals, right? Now, before we get into that exactly, I think let's have a show of hands to understand how many of us have seen a ton of cases where there is, our competitors take, like, basically we losing a deal and then later realizing that the competition was there right from the beginning. Any of us feel like a pang of pain because of this? I was having a chat with Nilesh, so Nilesh feels this. Shehbaz says same. Yeah, and I think this has become even more common today, and I'll let probably Nilesh guide you. I mean, some of the reasons are, of course, because most markets have become red ocean markets with the advent of AI getting into building different SaaS products or different kinds of services. But of course, there are other tailwinds to this happening more and more. We would want to be ahead of our competition, and in this webinar, we will discuss not just one or two, but quite a few ways in which we keep ourselves aware of where our competitions are entering, what kind of conversations are happening about our competition, all those things for sure. And then, of course, like Nilesh here has been in marketing for the longest time. I have come across and probably been one of the people who has focused on 0 to 1 and done things hands-on. So hence I felt that Nilesh is someone who would be able to give you the most amount of clarity on how to experiment, deploy, as well as execute on these motions, automations, all of these things. And one small intro about myself, I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of NREF. Why I love doing these webinars is that luckily I have this seat to see what kind of automations and what kind of AI deployments are happening across companies. And then also measure the kind of outcomes they're getting out of it, right? So that gives me a good position to kind of come and discuss some of these workflows that are really working. There is, of course, nuance. I mean, not all workflows or not all automations or AI deployments will work across companies, but definitely we can talk about those nuances as we go ahead. This, for example, the competition one is definitely something that works in most organizations because of the red marketing. And here I would, ask Nilesh, if you could just, I know a lot of people here would know you, but if you could introduce yourself.
Thanks, Sayanto. Hi, I'm Nilesh. Currently, I head demand and all things marketing at an early stage startup called Sentisum. I mean, Sayanto also already mentioned I've done a lot of 0 to 1. There's another one of those which I'm doing right now. I have about 14 years of SaaS, B2B SaaS marketing experience. I've done 0 to 1, 1 to 10, probably 1 to 50 once. But the one I enjoy the most are the 0 to 1 journeys because I'm a very hands-on, get your hands dirty kind of a marketer. Typically the rule is like every 3 years you get bored of your marketing job and you find another 0 to 1. At least that's for me. So before we begin, just wanted to check one quick thing, if I can have some reactions. How many of you are actually doing a 0 to 1 or a 1 to 10 right now?
You can just put it in the comments.
Yeah, that would be even better. If you can see some comments, like if you're doing a 0 to 1, 1 to 10.
I think most of the responses are around 0 to 1. There are, of course,
I can see
quite
1 to
a few
10.
on the 1 to 10. Yeah.
Good to see that. So, like Sadhu said, the one reason we're doing this is because of the change in the shift in market right now. Like I said, I've been in marketing for 14 years, but I've never seen it this competitive and this probably difficult is the word, but demand has become more difficult if you compare it over the last 3 years. So another quick question, and you can write in the comments, what are your top 2 channels that you're struggling with right now? Where you know that these channels have worked in the past, but right now you are like, okay, how do I make these channels work?
This, I think, Nilesh will be very varied because of the kind of businesses. But yeah, it'll be good to see.
So I see cold email, LinkedIn, Meta, Google, cold email, LinkedIn, email and LinkedIn. See, okay, awesome. Someone say WhatsApp. That's interesting. I would love to understand that. But email automation, LinkedIn, cold, Google ads, email. Okay. I can see almost 2 common channels, LinkedIn and cold email, and I see a lot of Google ads, basically ads. Paid ads, definitely, over the last, I would say, 2 years, has been becoming tougher and tougher to crack. And I'm someone who has set up AdWords from scratch multiple times. And I've seen that shift because I used to work at a company called File, which recently got acquired by Sage. I led their demand from 0 to 8 million. And 80% of our demand came from Google ads. I had almost $1 million budget a year, which I managed for 3.5 years. But since the last year, what I've been hearing from everyone is that it's been going down. The cost per MQL has gone up substantially. It's become tougher to attract the right audience. It's become tougher to get people to convert even after clicking, which is why the whole competitive intelligence and signal-based intelligence has become so important in the current market. Like every second marketer I talk to is relying more and more on intent data and on signals and competitive intelligence rather than just relying on, let's say, oh, I'll do Google ads, I'll do email, and I'll be fine. And cold email, the lesser said, the better. I don't think anyone is able to crack it right now. To be honest, if anyone has cracked cold email, I would love to talk to you after the call because I have had marketers reach out to me, founders reach out to me asking, how do we crack this now? Especially like with the latest iOS updates, with the latest updates on Gmail itself, Microsoft, people using Mixmax as a tool, which kind of like blocks your emails if it's a cold email. It's become more and more difficult to reach the inbox. Abhijit says it depends on the inbound demand. Also, the keyword search volume universe is small, better to go outbound. So agreed with you, but like even at a company like File, which is like 100% inbound, the demand is there, but it's not converting in at the same cost anymore. It's taking longer for people to convert. And the reason for that is that people have Claude, GPT, Gemini, Perplexity at their fingertips, trying to compare you even before they reach your landing page. And
That's
that's
true.
not helping. And that's not helping us.
Here, Nilesh, one thing that we learned was like infrastructure in emails is like king. There was this brilliant video by Adam Robinson. I think we all follow him for something or the other, but
Yep.
it was a lot about like the email infrastructure that we had. I think we had a few learnings from there, but it's still something that we are experimenting with a lot of
It's
organizations.
it's not working out. I'll tell you why. Like, I don't know how many of them are still working properly, but even in the email infra market, just like digressing a little for a minute, I don't know how many of you have heard of a tool called MailDoso. MailDoso basically helps you buy domains and buy emails. It doesn't work anymore. I was using MailDoso for like about 6-7 months last year. Towards October, I saw all my domains getting burned out, even the newer ones, even in like within a month.
Mhm.
And this from someone who uses one domain, let's say one account per domain to send only 10 emails a day. I had that many domains and emails.
Yeah,
Despite that, everything burned out.
very
And these were
interesting.
not even going up. Either these are not going to cold leads.
Mhm.
I was sending emails to warm leads, people who have been on the website, people who have not filled a demo form or filled a demo form but didn't come for the demo. Very, very signal-based approach. No cold emails at all. Like no pure cold, like, never heard of the company. Nothing
Yeah,
like that. I was literally using RB2B to get visitor level details, email them, find people on LinkedIn who are engaging with the post, like everything. Basically, whatever you do in the competitive market,
yeah.
emails didn't land. Like the delivery rate kept going down. I see someone, Ketaki, saying that entire batches of emails not getting delivered. Yes, very true. It's like getting tougher and tougher, which is why I wanted to, take quick 2-3 minutes to talk about the whole competitive intelligence, why it's going to work. So there are three things which are happening right now in the competitive intelligence space. One is that because of these whole, more tools, more noise, sales cycle becoming difficult, people are taking more time to evaluate you because they are trying to do their own research first. So now you need to be there in front of them when they're actually looking for a buy, which means you are focusing on AI search, you are focusing on LLMs, you are focusing on intent-based data. But how do you know who's looking up? And is that your right ICP? Which is where this whole competitive intelligence comes in. Second is LinkedIn is still king. Yes, it does not work, but it's still the best place to be. It's still the place where you will see many of these, your buyers basically. They might not be active on LinkedIn, by the way. So that's another thing. If you're using Sales Navigator, if you're using any kind of tool and you will see, oh, this guy has not posted on LinkedIn or liked on LinkedIn for the last 30 days. Trust me, they're still there. They might not be looking at the post or like commenting on the post, but they're looking at everything. I don't think anyone is staying away from LinkedIn right now because almost all B2B conversation is happening there. In fact, I've seen a lot of B2C conversation happening all of a sudden there. People are talking about like B2C products as well. It's basically to the level where you are like, okay, now how do I know what these guys are doing? Which is where later in this, later in the webinar, you'll see like we run on a play where how you can actually find these people who are like interacting or even doing a simple like or a comment. But at the same time, you have to be very, very clear at the basics. Like basics have become more important. Who's your competition? And by competition, I don't mean a person who has the same product as you. That's not enough. By competition, it has to be the similar product, the similar target audience, the similar market. Because I have competitors who are in UK only, and I have competitors who target US. For me, the people targeting US are my only competitors. Because those who are targeting UK, they have a different messaging strategy, they have a different sales cycle, they have a different type of messaging, like, outreach going on. So that's there. And then the third thing is you can't fly blind. You can no longer rely on spray and pray. It was anyways never a case, but in the last 2 years, it has completely vanished. Like earlier, at least you knew that, okay, you know what, I'll send 1,000 emails. I'll get 1% reply rate, maybe, even if it's absolutely cold. And if you're lucky, you get better. If your product is like a PLG motion or, you have a good offer, you might get lucky there. Now, even that doesn't work. Like I have seen people sending me emails that will pay you $100 to get on a demo. Like $100 Amazon voucher. I've even said that, oh, you can pick the voucher you want. We'll give you a $100 budget. And things like that. Like people have been offering things to get on a call. People are offering Starbucks vouchers. And that's where I feel like it's all AI because people are offering me dollar vouchers in India. I'm like, what will I do with that? That is actually a US voucher. Like link literally goes to Starbucks US. And they're like, you choose the voucher and come on a call. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, Sendoso. Absolutely. There are more like that. Actually, Sendoso is too expensive for these guys, I feel. If you're using Sendoso, you won't offer a $20 voucher. But
Yeah.
first party intent versus third party intent is an interesting one for competitive data, actually. Abhijit is asking, like, any comments on first party versus third party intent? One thing I've seen is all these intent tools, and this is from my experience in the past, maybe things have changed of late, but I have used every product that is possible in the intent space. I've used G2 intent data. I've used Gartner intent data. I've used Bombora. I've used 6sense. I've used Clearbit. None of them work if you are not selling an enterprise product. If you're not selling to enterprises and your ACV is not above 50K. If your ACV is below 50K, all those third-party data are only going to burn your money. Because anyone selling a lower-end product, let's say mid-market, let's talk mid-market, like 10 to 20K products. Those guys are not going to Gartner or a intent site or a G2 to actually review you. They will just do a quick Google search. So I believe like in today's world, other than your regular channels, like your SEO will still work, your AI SEO, or whatever you want to call it, is basically SEO, nothing else. Just need to structure it for AI. Those will continue working. They will not stop. Two things have become very important. One is brand, and that's probably for another webinar. Like how do you need to build a brand very early on and not wait for it. Second is what we're talking today, competitive intelligence. You need to know who your competitors are exactly. Who are they dealing with? Who are they targeting? What kind of companies are they targeting? Look at their customers. Look at their logos on the website. And a very simple hack, just to, move to the next portion of the webinar. Look at all the logos on your competitor websites and find the lookalikes. That is your target audience. That will give you a target audience for the next 2 months. Just find lookalikes of your competitor logos in your target market. I'm running that play right now on NF. I'm literally uploading logos and I'm just taking 5 companies who exactly look like that in the US market. Because I know that they are the right fit for me. And I can actually personalize outreach because I have case studies. I've got enough data. Someone said it's useless to do AI posts. It should be authentic. But for your outreach to be authentic, you need to know the person. And you will only know the person if you have solved a use case for a similar industry or a similar person.
Yeah, I think Keithi's question here is also interesting. But
we don't switch randomly all over CRE. Yes, it is. It's right. I always have a rebuttal for this. I've been told this multiple times in enterprise, how will we get them to switch? Not everyone is looking to switch, but there are enough people who don't have anything. You just need to find them. That is one. Second, they might not switch today. But now you know that they have a 3-year agreement. Now you know when are they ending. Reach out to them in the final year of their agreement. That could be next year itself. And because you're selling enterprise and you are a high ACV product, you are not looking at generating 200 MQLs a month. You are looking at generating probably more opportunities, and you don't need that many leads. So now you have a pipeline. This should be your like a tertiary pipeline for you. That these are the guys I'll reach out in 2 quarters time. This will help me build the pipeline for next year. I always tell this to my wherever I've led demand or marketing. You are not only working on the deals for next 2 quarters. You are also working on a pipeline for the next 1 year. What will happen after 1 year? Because your targets today might be, let's say, your sales team has to do $1 million quarter. It won't always remain $1 million. What if that becomes 2 million? You won't be able to double your pipeline in overnight. This is what will help you double your pipeline. All these people who are telling you, I have 3-year agreements. I am not ready right now. I don't have a budget right now. We are still early. Those early stage companies will grow. Just keep a tab on them. Keep looking at signals. Keep looking at competitive intelligence on them. Keep an alert on that company on Google. If they raise money, if they hire a new VP, if they hire a new C-level in that function, let's say you're targeting marketers. If they hire a new CMO, CMO is a big hire. CMO means that you are now ready for big budgets. Or if they have raised good funding, or if they have disclosed revenue and their revenue has increased. Look at their press releases. Keep a tab on them. Keep these alerts. Build those automations now using AI that you will get these alerts on a monthly basis. Someone said monthly email newsletter. Yes, do that. And it need not be a proper newsletter. You just need to send them a quick update. Don't make it a long newsletter. Long newsletter only when you have really good value to add. Otherwise, 2 updates, 700 words max. Just telling them that we still remember you. That's it. And let them get value out of it. It could be only industry news. You don't need to always send a product update. Or if you have written a really good blog, or if you have a really good thought leadership blog which you want to share with them, share the snippet. That's it. Let them see if they want to read the link. These things. So do these things and keep tracking those competitive signals. And I won't take a further time here. I think we are right on cue for, Sayanto, let's talk about the next phase. How do we do workflows here?
Done. And thanks for that, Nilesh. I think one very important thing you pointed out was that, there's information scattered all around, right? We need to keep a tab and keep being at it, right?
Yep.
And I think the same applies for competition quite a bit as well, because, there could be discussions on, let's say, a Reddit, it could be on maybe a product and forum as well. So, making sure that we're able to capture or at least be a part of some of these conversations is extremely important. In a lot of these cases, by the way, before I just enter into this, in a lot of these cases, like de-anonymizing or finding out exactly who the person is talking about a certain thing, for example, Reddit, for that matter, is very difficult to do. In fact, it's impossible, right? It's an anonymized platform. It's impossible to track who is talking about what. But then what we've noticed people doing quite a bit is being a part of these discussions. Even on LinkedIn, when you can find people exactly who that person is, it's probably more important to enter or warm them up with a little bit of a contribution to the conversations that they're interested in. Right. So with that in mind, I'll actually show you some very simple, workflow building or automation building processes. And here we will kind of try to keep it again as interactive as possible. Nilesh. And one last thing. So in the world of collecting breadcrumbs of information, I just wanted to get slightly technical here. There are probably 3 types in which you collect information. One, it's pretty much called catch few, catch many, and catch all. Right? You want to be at catch all. That means you want to basically take up every single breadcrumb that's available to you. Like an LLM would be a catch few, as in it'll give you certain examples and it might also hallucinate on them, especially when you're systematically trying to get information every week, every day, every month in some cases. And then there are probably certain people who call themselves super agents like GenSpark or the likes. Manus. These might give catch many, but we want to be at catch all because that's where you want to figure out the entirety of information that's available to you. Right. So we'll just go through some workflows. Some of these are very simple. Some of these are slightly more complex. I'll not get into the building of these workflows, and I'll just kind of guide you through what is happening. But yeah, one of the things that Nilesh mentioned, which is kind of sniping which deals your competitors are getting into is actually slightly more complex. But what happens there is, and I'll give you an easy way to try it out, but what happens there is that you're tracking all your competitors, BDRs, and sales reps, and you're basically then tracking every single activity that they do on LinkedIn, which is like likes, comments, replies, anything of that sort on LinkedIn. And then you're creating a heat map out of it. Basically seeing like over time, where do we kind of find the same accounts appearing again and again for those competitors?
And so if you can zoom in
Yeah,
a little, people.
yeah. I'll actually get into each of these workflows and I'll remove this should be easier. Right. So first things first, these are like separate workflows, but I've just brought it into the same. For example, in the first one, I'll look at all the LinkedIn posts that talk about a certain topic or any of my competitors. The second is figuring out LinkedIn threads, Reddit threads. And the third is getting, posts that tag my competitor and then kind of get into their comments, etc. One simple hack I'll use here, and this is going to be extremely valuable no matter where you set up any kind of automation, is using Google. I was just talking about like catch all. So for example, if I go to Google and just restrict my search to, let's say, linkedin.com/posts, and then say, like, let's say one of my competitors is HeyReach, for example. I mean, just giving anyone who automates any workflow in GTM, right? I do this, and you will notice that all my results are just HeyReach related posts on LinkedIn. Now, even this does not help because now I don't have a time boundary on when I'm fetching these posts from. Like if I want to fetch them every day, I would want to give a time boundary to this. Right. So Google allows that as well. So you just put in something like after, and then you have to follow this date, syntax, which is like basically 2026, then month, like YYYY, MM, and then let's just put in 16th Feb, right? I don't think there'll be too many posts about HeyReach on in just one day, but if we do this, you will get only the number of posts. There are less than 20 posts, but all of these talk about HeyReach in the last one day itself. So this is what I've used, and we can actually go into some of these. So you will see that 10 tips for better LinkedIn approach, just replify HeyReach, expand the alternatives, why. So all of these will definitely have HeyReach. And again, just feel free to, at this point in time, stop me in case this is getting complex. Nilesh, I'll take your cue for that. But yeah, that's as simple as that, right? And same thing happens on Reddit as well. So if I just change LinkedIn posts to, let's say, reddit.com, you could probably add a subreddit here as well. But let me not add the subreddit. Now you will see only Reddit conversations about hate. Right. So that's the fundamental that we've used for the first two workflows, because this you can expand to wherever. Like you can put in producthunt.com and then forums. I don't remember the exact URL structure of this, but you can do this. And okay, so since yesterday there was nothing, but if we kind of change this to 0101, okay, I'm still not finding anything in product hunt. But you can like basically restrict your search to a certain medium that you're looking at. Right. So getting back to the workflow, where we leverage, the power of workflows really well is get that data in a structured manner. Right. So what I've done is I have this Google sheet where I just have like two competitor posts. By the way, as Nilesh mentioned, not these are not direct competitors, but these are definitely like companies that fulfill use cases that can be done on Ender. So I mean that way there are a huge number of competitors. I've just taken two, and what I've done is I've imported those values from like that Google sheet that we saw here. Right? So heyreach.io, lemlist.com. And what we've done in the Google query or the Google search query is I've exactly put in that format that I've used to show you in the Google search, right? So it's linkedin.com/posts. And then I put in a double inverted commas because I want to make sure that that exact name is there, not someone who's just writing, hey, reach out to me. And then I put in a date, and this date can fluctuate according to your schedule in the sense that every day, if you're running it, you can automate and get the date. You just need to put in the scheduler. And then this just populates it into a Google Sheet. So for example, once those posts are found, you will find that so basically the title description is exactly what we saw in Google. So this is the title, this is the description. This also helps, by the way, in AEO activities, because this is what Google says that it rationalizes this result to come on top because of these keywords it has highlighted. So yeah, that's the name, that's the description. Of course, you find the URL, the display link often gives us comments or the engagement on the post. right? And we just utilize this to go in and comment. So by the way, there is also, you can also set up automatic commenting by just going to connections and just comment on a LinkedIn post. So that will, instead of just filling it into a Google Sheet, it will directly go in and comment in the post that you have right now mined. For example, I'll choose my LinkedIn account. The post URL comes from the URL, which I have here. And then you can put in any kind of comment. I'm not going to do that for this purpose, but yeah, that is possible, absolutely. And typically, this is a strategy which I wanted to talk about first because it has crazy amount of impact. I mean, companies have kind of created these dashboards. This is something that I replicated for myself. But for example, for all my competitors, I can kind of go in here and check out who are the people who have been doing this in the last 1 or 2 days. So this is something that is extremely popular and is extremely powerful because LinkedIn today has enough content through posts. And it is encouraging left, right, and center for people to build conversations more than writing new comment. So typically, if you go into a conversation and continue a thread, you will see that the number of impressions for the amount of effort you're putting into comment is much, much more than how you would get out of writing LinkedIn posts, right? That's it. I'll take a quick pause. I'm sorry if I've missed any conversations in the chat or anything.
No, not right now. I think people are still like digesting what you have just showed them. But like just to put some like a quick comment here is like people are looking for engagement on their LinkedIn posts, which is why LinkedIn is encouraging comments. And LinkedIn also does not want this whole strategy to become about, like someone said earlier, like, people are just using AI to just write LinkedIn posts. No one is actually putting in an effort. Comments is where you can stand out. If you can provide a value in those 1 or 2 lines or 3 lines, I don't know if you have noticed, but your comments also get an impression number now.
Yeah.
And they sometimes, I've seen posts where a comment has got more impressions than the post itself because the comment was liked by way too many people because it was like a real value comment. So if you feel you can provide value to a person's post or a person's query, go ahead and do that. Treat LinkedIn like Reddit. Treat LinkedIn like Quora.
Yeah.
Which
And the good
means
part,
that
by
you
the
have
way,
to assume that it is moderated. Don't try to sell.
and here by comments, you're getting the attention of absolute target audience kind of people, right? Because you know exactly what the post is about, you know exactly where the nuance or that of that discussion is, and you can go in and comment, and it'll be visible to. It comes on the notifications of anyone else who has commented or liked it, so it kind of attracts attention from all these ICP fit people. Awesome. The second is basically getting Reddit threads. There is a catch to Reddit threads. Now, I mean, Nilesh has already mentioned this. We cannot be salesy on Reddit threads, right? So while LinkedIn is something that I've seen people have come in and, I mean, a lot of people still use AI to generate comments, which I would not suggest. But Reddit happens in bulk, like all kinds of Reddit discussions. And then for the LinkedIn ones, they at least go in and start suggesting some meaningful comments. But like the amount of work that you need to just get these two channels covered is probably just one part-time working intern. And I've seen this happening in a lot of organizations. But yeah, again, so if you once you get in a Reddit thread, there's just one additional step that you will have to do. So there's a system called Parallel Web Systems. This is Parag Agrawal's company, and he kind of created this very powerful scraper of the web. So even if it is gated content, like a lot of time Instagram content or let's say even LinkedIn content, it'll still be able to go in and do a research on the content that's available on that. So yeah, after basically we found all the URLs of the Reddit conversation that we are seeing here, you can just go in with this parallel web systems and ask it to give you a comment, suggested comment, let's say, right? And for Reddit, it's not, I would still suggest that you would want to have manual commenting, but it's not a very infrequent approach that people use AI to comment, since the ROI is like in bulk rather than ROI being in numbers. Shevaz, you can also track all kinds of community engagement. For example, for ourselves, we track Clay's open community for every bit of complaints or feature requests or any kind of dissatisfaction there. You might not still be able to de-anonymize, but you'll at least know or have that competitive intel. In a lot of cases, you're able to de-anonymize as well. But yeah, the third very crucial part is where the LinkedIn post tags a certain competitor, right? So this is even more specific. You will find fewer in numbers, but again, just setting these two nodes up will give you actually tagged people. I'm just using a get company profile to get the company ID that LinkedIn associates with that company. So this is the only field I'm using, and in the next field, I'll just put put in mention company ID, the company ID. And you can select like whenever that date is posted and a limit up to how many posts you want to structurally finds out every bit of information that you need to know about that post. For example, of course, the entire text, etc., but also the number of the amount of engagement it's getting. Let me just bring that up. So the amount of engagement it's getting, the URL, of course, but you also get the poster's title. So you can even figure out whether this poster is important for you by just attaching an AI node after this. By the way, guys, I'll share these workflows with you. So we have just started this Slack community where the goal is to share all these best practices that we find from across different organizations. Of course, not name those organizations who are using it, but just find out where they're getting outcome and share these as like kind of outcomes, sorry, workflows that are already built out for you. And you can just configure them using, sorry, stop sharing my screen by mistake. But yeah, you can just configure them using this build with AI part. Just ask it like, what is happening in this workflow and where do I need, yeah, what is happening in this workflow and where do I need to make changes. And this will actually guide you through the entire workflow and also tell you exactly how you can make changes. For this, I'll ask Jay to share the QR code, which you can use to sign in into the Slack community. There are different themes. For example, this week we are talking about competitive workflows. Last week we spoke about signal based. Next week we have, next month, I mean, we have these warm outbound kind of approaches. And these are things that we've actually seen working out. So we'll definitely share all of these in the Slack community. The problem that we faced earlier is that sharing these over emails never get delivered, right? Hence, we had to build this Slack group where we can share as many links as like can be valuable to the all the marketers here. Perfect. That said, before I get into anything technical, look at the comments and I see that Nilesh has mostly answered. Nilesh, anything else that you would want to kind of point out here before? This is like basically scraping the web for all kinds of different mediums. You could have like a sales enablement community here. You could have like Instagram, anything of that matter, which is why I kind of tended to use Google search, just pointing that out. But yeah, Nilesh, anything specific?
Wow. See, two things which will matter the most. I mean, you can run as many plays as you want to. And like you can use nrev, you can use anything else that you feel comfortable with. There are enough ways to do it even without automation. There are manual ways which people still use. But like reiterating, one thing is define your competition and be very specific about it. Like Sayanto knows that Clay is not the only competition he has. There are people who can do parts of your product. They are also competitors for you. Like, for example, I work at a voice of customer company. Now, typically for me, ideally, the competition should only be voice of customer tools. But I know for a fact that anyone who does surveys is a competition for me. Because at the end of the day, how are you collecting your feedback? It's either through support or surveys. These are two ways you can collect feedback. So support tools also become like, auxiliary competition for me. Like when we do demos, people come and ask us, how are you different from support logic? And the first 2 times we were like really surprised. Like, why are we being compared to support logic? We don't even do what they do. And then we realized that these guys are just collecting feedback using support logic. And the analysis is being done using AI or, some spreadsheet. And support logic also has like a small, AI tool which can help them out with basic sentiment. You need to define your competitor. Second is the actual messaging and the actual work that you will do. Your messaging can't be generic. Based on the competitor you're targeting, it has to reflect your differentiation. That will also decide how you comment on LinkedIn. Because if someone is talking about a clay compared to someone talking about a lem list, it changes. So the way you use AI to do all these things will matter. You'll need to probably build multiple workflows. And it's okay to do that. Because at the end of the day, you are only spending that first few days just setting that up, but then you are on automation basically. So don't shy away from the effort to build multiple workflows because each competitor might require a different approach.
Absolutely.
So if you're doing competitive intelligence, just do that.
One thing, by the way, Nilesh, we learned from our customers is that a lot of these large companies also track their complementary tools because you get a lot of intel from there and an
Yep.
ICP from that as well. I
Yep.
remember we started tracking Rio.dev, although we aren't able to get those kind of signals, was because like we saw this customer kind of tracking their complementary deals, and you get really good partner opportunities, especially at that level, like when you're selling to enterprises
Yes.
or
New
conversation.
opportunities, if nothing else, you'll learn something. You'll probably
Yeah,
learn that how are people reacting to this industry itself, especially like if you're in a niche space and
correct.
you are like still figuring out your persona, still figuring out your target audience. Another hack that I can give you is if you have, if you have some budget, just run like a very small Google ad campaign on just the high intent keywords. For example, let's say if your keyword, for example, for me, the biggest keyword is customer feedback software. Run a exact match keyword, like a broad match campaign on just that. Cap it at a monthly, like a daily budget, like which is very small. And just for 2 weeks, once your budget is like optimized, so it will take a week to optimize and then run it for 2 more weeks and look at all the search terms that come.
Yeah,
And you will see some very interesting patterns. You will actually find companies which you were unaware of before because people were searching for those companies and now Google does a lot of contextual searching. So even if let's say someone searches for Qualtrics, they still see a ad from me because Qualtrics is in the same space as me, even though I'm not bidding on that keyword.
yeah, that's
So that
interesting.
has changed in Google Ads. So yes, Google Ads is difficult to convert, but Google Ads is still a very good channel if you want to increase your direct traffic. People will see your ad at the first space or the first three before the organic search, which means keywords where you can't rank for, use Google Ads as a way to be just visible. And people will eventually find you on direct traffic. Like they'll come and search for your company. Second is you will come to know what are people searching for to reach there, which unfortunately a search console or analytics or a Ahrefs or a SEMrush can't tell you.
Correct.
That how are people reaching your website with a random search term. I've seen search terms for companies which I didn't even know existed. But now I know that this is what people search for when they look for customer feedback. Because Google has become very powerful in contextual searching. Yes, ads are expensive now. So a lot of very, very simple, like I basically like cap my daily and my monthly budget so that I never overspend. And I don't run it on weekends. I don't run it on times when my audience is sleeping. I literally have like my schedule screen is like very complex now. It's almost like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 3 hours in the evening, then 5 hours in late night. So it's like, when your audience is going to be active searching. Don't allow Google the chance to send you random clicks in that odd hours.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah, do that.
Perfect. There's one question by Kirti. I'll quickly answer that. Probably I
Yeah.
skipped this, but yeah, for example, Reddit threads, I already like I fixed this. Kirti asked, how can we find out sentiments or how can we find out, let's say, certain specifics, like for example,
Yeah.
where this product is being sold or where the customer is from? Not always will you be able to find the geolocation, but you can have AI do a analysis on exactly that entire conversation on each of these posts. So, for example, here I had like 8 posts from yesterday or 8 discussions from yesterday. And then what I did was, if you see, there's a Ask AI node which has like 8 entry points, right? If I go to this Ask AI node and like just prompt it anything, in fact, you don't even need to prompt. I can just go in and say that check for the sentiment of the post, or just put in your instructions here, and it'll configure the node exactly how you want it. So you can extract information like exactly what kind of sentiment there is, what is the name of the author, are they talking about any other tools or stack that I need to be aware of? And then have a separate AI kind of figure out a comment based on all kinds of strategy. Like, for example, in LinkedIn, I at least do a prioritization strategy using AI because there's so many people talking about all these like hundreds of competitors that we have. So for that prioritization, what I do is like I kind of like segregate posts that are talking about a very complex tool stack because our core value proposition is to simplify a tool stack, right? Like we measure our success by saying that if there are 15 tools that are cut in an organization, that's how NREV is successful. So I like to comment on every post that talks about very complex tool stacks. And so, yeah, I then use AI to do a bucketing. So that's the exact thing that you can do here as well. It will go through each and every post or each and every line item that you have from the previous node or the information that you've collected, and it gives you that bucketing or that prioritization done for you. Does that make sense, Kirti? Awesome. So we're already up on time. I'll share these workflows in our Slack community, but I feel that there's more value in like having any questions that can be thrown to Nilesh, or in case I have any comments or any thoughts on that, we'll be happy to share. And of course, on different kinds of implementations of different types of workflows, happy to answer those questions as well. I wanted to show another one, but I'll definitely share it in the Slack community. And in fact, the very powerful one that we spoke about, where you can track your competitors, all kinds of competitors, sales reps, LinkedIn activities. Let me just share a link with you. You can directly go and chat with the AI there and get that running for yourself. There's no workflow building in that. There is no any kind of, it's just prompting basically to run that workflow for you because it's pre-built and you just need to configure it for your competitors and for your ICP. Nilesh, one for you.
Oh, this is on Google Ads. Okay. So CPC might rise depending on, the bids at that time. Obviously, the bids are higher during the time when you, the peak hours, basically. People, obviously, all your competition is also bidding. And like, you have to also understand, especially if you have like enterprise customers, they are obviously bidding a lot more, which is why I said cap the daily budget and let Google optimize for clicks initially. Wait for a month, maybe like you might have to burn some money initially. But then after that, you switch to manual CPC. Don't bid more than what you can afford in terms of like, your CPA. Initially, you don't bid for conversions, you bid for reach and visibility. Later, you switch to bidding for your CPA itself. One thing that I have been noticing with Google Ads is that direct conversions from Google Ads have reduced, but I see a lot of leads coming later on the website where the first touch was Google Ads. So attribute it to Google Ads. Like that is how you do an actual cost calculation. Just because they did not fill your form to Google Ads does not mean that the ad did not work. Don't make that mistake. So if you have spent, let's say, for example, let's take a ballpark number, let's say you have a $5,000 budget in a given month and you have spent $5,000 and you see only 2 conversions come in. Don't give up hope. Wait for at least a month, like a rolling month. People come back in a month. And then look at how many conversions you are getting with the first touch as Google Ads. What I have observed is I'm still able to keep, like because I target US enterprise, obviously my cost per acquisition is higher because the volume is also low and the intent is only there at certain times. But typically the way I look at it is, as long as I can keep my cost of acquisition to less than $800 MQL, I'm good. So define your cost per MQL. What is your cost per MQL? That is what you can spend. Because I've worked at File and we had a SMB market, which meant anything above $300, $400 a lead MQL, I can't even afford it. So I had to be really tight there. It was lucky I was doing it 3 years back or 2 years back rather. If I was doing it right now, I would never be able to scale that because you need a lot more money to scale now. Because I know for a fact people who are doing SMB Google Ads right now, in US especially, they have seen in some months the cost per MQL go up as high as $1,000 on certain keywords. So that will be there. What are your thoughts next? Capping on marketing messaging with Meta for WhatsApp. Not the right person. Never did WhatsApp or Meta marketing. I've always been a very B2B SaaS focused marketer. I don't know. I'm not. I mean, if someone someone on the call, if someone can help with this answer, if someone has actually used Meta ads or WhatsApp messages by Meta for WhatsApp, I'm sure there should be a workaround for this one.
Yeah, same here. I haven't never.
And I'm assuming this is India-based. If I'm not wrong, it's India-based marketing. That's another reason I don't know. I might not know about it because like it's becoming really difficult to market anyway. In my experience, looking at a single channel, getting cost per lead is dead now. We have market options. Absolutely. Which is what I was saying. Like, don't look at Google Ads as a direct conversion. Look at the first touch attribution. And also look at overall, like, okay, you know what? How much have I spent in a month? Like, you're very right, Abhijit, there. Like, cost per acquisition has to be looked as a whole. You need to look at it in terms of, okay, this quarter I spent this much and I generated these many MQLs or these many opportunities. Channel wise, if still your founder or your head of CMO or your CFO wants a channel wise breakdown, tell them like, it's a multi-touch attribution now. If you still want it, have that conversation before you start your campaigns. That whether will you be doing a multi-touch attribution and doing it as a whole on the quarter? And if they still want it channel wise, then tell them that, hey, for Google Ads, I'll use first touch and set the parameters that, okay, if I'm doing first touch, it's only valid for, let's say, 6 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever that number is. I mean, anyone coming after 3 months is not valid. They don't remember your ad. So you have to give that parameter also. Like I used to do this very early on in my career where we had this whole multi-touch attribution thing. And we had set parameters even for SDR leads. For example, your SDR has been following up on a lead. The meeting went cold. You set a benchmark that, okay, if this meeting does not happen in the next 2 months, it's again a cold lead. And then if it comes inbound, it won't be attributed to the SDR. So attribution is up to you how you want to attribute it, but make sure your CFO or your whoever basically is responsible for the budget is agreeing with you on this so that you don't have a problem later. Do it always at the start of the planning, that this is how you will attribute leads. And I would say don't get into lead attribution today. The way I have been looking at demand for the last 5 years is I always look at it from a revenue standpoint, or at least a pipeline standpoint. Because the moment you get into lead numbers, it becomes really bad. Because then it's volume. You don't want to own volume on certain months. Like I don't want to own the same volume in Q3 as Q4. Q4 has to be lower. But the pipeline is what matters. Can you generate more pipeline with higher quality leads? Can you figure out how to generate higher quality leads? That should be your focus month on month. That it's not about just increasing the number of leads. It should be about quality of leads. If that keeps increasing, you'll be okay with the same volume. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not 14 years, it's like forever. I've done sales before marketing. I worked for about 20 years now, and it's been a forever problem. All right. Any other questions, anyone? You can reach out on LinkedIn.
There was
Feel free
one
to
from Ranjini
connect.
Nilesh.
Okay.
I don't know whether she's
Okay, I just saw this. If I would need a bundle of tools for marketing, what would your suggestion for US marketing? Rajini would love to get some more details on this. I feel like this is like a whole webinar topic, to be honest. I mean, feel free to, I would say, reach out maybe over LinkedIn or in this. I'll join the Slack community as well. You can reach out on Slack. Yeah. But if I would say if you have to just start right now in terms of like how would you do a tech stack, I would look at it function wise. So for example, you will definitely need an automation tool because you can't do too many manual stuff right now. I'm assuming that people are not going to have very large teams going forward. So you need automation in place. You will need some kind of a social media tool, I feel, if you are going to build a brand. That could be done with the help of automation tools itself, or you might need like a HeyReach or some kind of a tool like Buffer or something like that, if you are big on social media. Other than that, I would always recommend get a SEO tool in place. I mean, even if you want to get on the base plan, get some kind of an SEO tool in place. That will surely, that is one tool you don't mind paying for every year. You need either a Ahrefs or a SEMrush or there are other tools as well who have become better now, but I still feel those two are the best. I don't know how long SEMrush will remain the best after getting acquired, but Ahrefs definitely, I still feel like their brand tracker and their other tools are really good. Unless until you have a SEO agency in place, that's a different ballgame then. Then you don't need a tool. Let the agency do the work, especially if you have a lean team. I use an agency because I didn't want to hire anyone currently. So I kind of outsourced my SEO to an agency. That is one option. The only other tool I would say that you might need is get a design tool for the marketing team. Don't rely on let's say, hiring a very good designer initially if you're starting 0 to 1. Get a Canva Pro or something, or get Adobe Express Lifetime if you can somehow get a good deal or something like that, at least a 1-year deal. But get some tool which has an AI capability to design and use Claude, ChatGPT, Midjourney along with it to build your own creatives. Don't rely on hiring a designer up front. So yeah.
Thanks, Nilesh. That helped.
Welcome.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you everyone
Didar.
for joining. Thank you, Nilesh. This is
Yep.
extremely
Happy to
interactive.
be
I'm
here.
glad Nilesh could answer all the questions. It was great having you all here. As I mentioned, sending recordings through emails is a little bit difficult. So either just ping me on LinkedIn or the Slack community. Of course, we share it's not a interaction kind of a community where we market at all. It's just sharing best cases. It's somewhere where we keep posting all the content that we generate from these kind of webinars. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next month for the next webinar. Thanks, Nilesh, again.
Bye.